going to attempt to clean the refrigerator. Clean out the refrigerator. It's really narrow, as you can see. Can't even get to the refrigerator without in order to get a job, I would also need training as far as different skills and what I could do in order to work. So I need job support. I would need training on how to get my chair into a car. I would need a lighter wheelchair because the wheelchair that I was using today was way too heavy to use, and so a lot of the time, and it was really big, it was really wide. So a lot of the times I was getting stuck and, I was having trouble maneuvering it and carrying it, trying to get it into the car was just really hard that I didn't even try to pretend that, I was disabled because it was so heavy that I needed to actually help put it in the car. I would also need to learn adapted driving in order to, live completely independently. In order to go to work, to go to the grocery store, to go to school, what have you, I would need a car, and I would need that car to be adapted so that I could drive it with my hands. Would also need kind of physical therapy training because I would be in one position for so long that I would probably need to even out my muscles so that my body won't break down later on. Things that I would definitely need would be I would need to change the layout of my house. My apartment is really small, so we had to maximize space by building up and utilizing all the space that we could. So a lot of my cookware, my microwave, a lot of pots and, different things like my blenders, my mixers, my crock pots, they're all on an upper shelf that I would not be able to reach by myself. I was not able to access my laundry room because the doorway and the hallway to the laundry room is really narrow that I wouldn't be able to wash my own clothes. I would have to either move to a different apartment that had a little bit more room or had a little bit more of an open concept, like a studio apartment. There were a lot of things. I couldn't even go to the bathroom in the wheelchair because the wheelchair would not fit into my restroom. My kitchen is really small as well, so something as simple as throwing something away and trying to navigate through the really narrow kitchen, it just didn't work. Like I said, my doors in my house, in my apartment, are way too narrow. I smashed my hand plenty of times. I had to move things out of the way. And again, we utilize space by having multiple shelves and multiple racks that I wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. I would need um, I would need a grabber in order to grab things. Um, Things are just way too close together. My table is maybe like 3 feet from my refrigerator. Same thing with my stove and my sink. There's no way that I can move freely in my kitchen. My bed is too high. I would really need support doing that, so I would need a lower bed. There were a lot of hazards in my neighborhood. My neighborhood is not handicap accessible. I live like in a mountain area, but I live on a hill, and the sidewalks are really narrow. The streets are really narrow. It's really steep. I had a lot of trouble trying to navigate the wheelchair, even in my own driveway because it's at an incline. There are no wheelchair ramps. My neighbor did build a wheelchair ramp for his daughter in law because she is wheelchair bound, and he ended up having to build a ramp for her because they couldn't keep carrying her wheelchair and her up the stairs all the time, all up the steps, I should say. Ways that I would make my house more accessible would be I would obviously not have as many things in my house, not have so many things high up. I would make the laundry room more accessible. I would build a ramp or have somebody build a ramp for me. Maybe widen out the doors, or essentially move. I think moving would be the best bet. This project was super eye opening as well because when I went to the grocery store, I noticed that a lot of people were kind of like in a hurry to move out of the way. They were just trying to like, oh, sorry, 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 just apologizing for being in my way. And it wasn't as if they knew I was going to be coming into the grocery store. Um, I got a lot of stares, a lot of pity stares. It's not shown, but I saw a lot of people. But then at the same time, I got a lot of people that wouldn't look at me or make eye contact with me. It was almost as if they were ignoring me, but I realize that it's probably because They wanted to normalize my situation. They had pity. This is an assumption, obviously, but they had pity, and so they wanted to normalize it and not act as if they were staring at me, maneuvering through the store. And so they would just kind of avoid making eye contact with me. And it was just easier to pretend that I wasn't there at all, to not look at me. Um, Especially even this is a local grocery store that I always go to. Um, and even the cashiers, they were kind of quiet, a little bit more reserved. Usually they ask me how I'm doing. They usually, say thank you, have a great day. But today they were just really reserved, and they were just kind of not really talking to me. It was such a weird feeling. You know, I felt a lot of people not wanting to stare. Usually I'm super friendly and I'll smile at somebody, but I saw a lot of people just kind of not wanting to look in my direction. Even if they were looking in my direction, they would kind of like turn around or turn away. It was a really odd experience.